Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. Episode 2 of Ade and G-Man is up. If you haven't seen it, please go and give it a watch. If you like it, then please like it, give it a thumbs up. If you really like it, then share it. And if you love it after watching it, then please leave a comment. It all helps. Thank you very much in advance. All right, let's talk about Dereck Chisora and his win over the very, very poor Otto Wallin. The scorecards yesterday were 114 at 112. We need to talk about that. 116 110 and 117 109. Those two last scorecards, a better reflection of how that fight played out. 114 112. Bear in mind, as I said at the top, Otto Wallin was very poor, and Dereck Chisora had 2 knockdowns. 114 112 is disgraceful. It's one of the worst scorecards in recent memory. It is. I know we always say that, don't we? But I can't think of a scorecard that bad. Again, I thought Otto Wallin, at best, might have won a couple of rounds, but Chisora got 2 knockdowns. And a judge somehow decided that was a 114-112 fight. So removing those knockdowns, you guys can do the maths. That judge needs to be looked at. Now, I mean, nothing will happen because ultimately the right person in the end got their hand raised, and Chisora's all happy and he's playing games in the ring after. So it's almost forgotten. But I don't forget things like that. Honestly, I think that judge needs to be looked at. I think that judge needs to be suspended. That's a horrific scorecard. And look, we might say it's incompetence. Okay, cool. I'm not going to say corruption. I've said that in the past. If it is incompetence, fine. He's not very good at his job. Remove him from his job. Especially in high profile fights. Like, you know, when refs make mistakes in football, they get demoted to championship. Some even get demoted to League One. Some just don't ref for a couple of weeks. That needs to happen. This guy will move on to the next sort of big fight, and we won't remember his name, and it will be another horrific scorecard, which could affect someone. I mean, honestly, this guy could really affect someone's career. Could be a title fight, could be an interim title fight, could be a big payday. He could really affect someone's career. So look, 114 112 is horrific. Also horrific was Otto Wallin. Now, I don't really like to dig out fighters as much as I used to. Those of you that are sort of old school will know that I used to really go for fighters, but now that I work in the sport, you kind of see them. You see them after fights, you see the punishment they take, and I do find it quite difficult to really dig out fighters. But I thought Otto Wallin was awful. Honestly, I thought he was really bad. I would love to have been in camp to see how he was preparing for Chisora. Like, we know Chisora only fights one way, right? I mean, there are no tricks with Chisora. I know he went southpaw a couple of times, which did surprise me. And at times, I thought almost kind of befuddled Chisora a bit. But apart from that, there are no tricks. He's going to come right in front of you. His head's going to be on your chest, and he's going to whirl away, and he's going to swing that right hand from another postcode, and it's quite obvious to know what's going to happen. So how Otto Wallin didn't know all this? I'm not joking. I'd love to see who he had in for sparring to try and replicate the way Chisora fights, because I actually think it's quite easy to get a style like Chisora, like someone to try and copy and mimic Chisora. Obviously, it's a different thing when Chisora's in there with you. And I mean, he doesn't stop, does he? Honestly, he doesn't stop. He's like a ball in a china shop. But Otto Wallin was, I don't know if I expected more. In hindsight, I don't know if I expected more. Like, Otto Wallin is clearly living off the Tyson Fury fight. I mean, look, there's a couple of good wins on the resume. Gassiev is a good win. Dominic Brazil, I guess, is a good win. But ultimately, every time people talk about Otto Wallin, they talk about Tyson Fury. That's all they do. They talk about a loss. They don't talk about any wins. They talk about a loss. They mention AJ now. I'm trying to find an excuse for how bad that performance was. The ring was 18-18. Maybe that is a valid excuse. Otto Wallin probably wanted to fight more on the back foot, circle out of problems, and a small ring kind of makes that hard to do because you take a couple of steps back and all of a sudden you're on the ropes, and that's where Chisora wants to operate. But he's got to do better. I mean, Chisora's coming in all the time with his head down. How he's not at any stage thought, okay, I'm going to maybe step to the side and land an uppercut. is beyond me. I remember watching Chisora against Parker, and Parker couldn't miss. And look, Parker's a level above Otto Wallin, but Parker could not miss with the uppercut. Could not miss. It was just the obvious shot to have. And Otto Wallin's just not doing it. This is the wrong time to look shit as a heavyweight. I'm not trying to say you've got to win them all, because ultimately when you're in tough fights, 50-50 fights when you are, marginally an underdog, okay, cool. But if you perform, you'll get another call. And I'm not joking. If I'm any promoter, manager, broadcaster watching that, I ain't phoning Otto Wallin. I ain't phoning him for a while. And I think Otto Wallin's 34, 35. So he needs to kind of have a good look in the mirror, because there were openings there. I could see him as clear as day. I'm not a boxer, but I've watched enough fights to see an opening. And there were openings there, and he didn't want to take them for fear of what was going to come back. And I think once a fighter gets into that mentality, it's done. It's done. I've seen so many fighters like that. I remember, I always kind of refer back to Shane Mosley, if he knows you're in trouble, you're dead. You're dead. And I remember towards the end, Shane would see openings and just didn't let his hands go. And he's going back to the corner and his trainer's screaming at him, let your hands go, let your hands go. Very similar to Vlad against Tyson Fury. Like, there were openings there, just didn't let your hands go. And that's Otto Wallin, didn't let your hands go. So look, that's Otto Wallin. I feel bad starting with Otto rather than giving Dereck some plaudits here. Dereck's just Dereck, innit? I mean, that southpaw thing was funny. But Dereck, literally, he's gas tank and engine for someone that fights that kind of style was incredible. As much as I said I'd like to see Otto Wallin's training camp, I'd love to see how Chisora gets that fit. Because there was a time, I think it was maybe around 6 or 7, where he had Otto Wallin on the ropes and he threw about 25 punches. Like, he just didn't stop. Doom, doom, doom. And that will take it out on you. I mean, that people just don't do that. People don't throw punches in bunches like that, especially not in the heavyweight division. It's maybe 3 or 4. Usyk goes 6 or 7 sometimes. But your heavyweights now, it's 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That's what it is, right? Whereas Chisora, it's fucking 20. Honestly, it wasn't just once he did that. He whirled in and kind of went to Otto Wallin like that about 3 or 4 times. I was like, my God. I mean, this guy's gas tank is insane. But look, it's fight number 49. I think it's win. What would that be then? Win number 35? Did he ever draw somewhere? But it's mid-30s. Actually, let me have a quick look. What is Chisora's record now? Let's get this right. Let's show respect to the big man. 2 secs, peeps. Dereck Chisora. It is win number 36. Solid, right? What a career. 18-year career, win number 36. You know, it's very difficult to know where Chisora is. You know, when you he's almost like the person that no one ranks, because it's very difficult to know where he is, because all the fights of recent years that he's lost, he's supposed to lose. Like, he's been quite a big underdog in all those fights. Fury, Usyk, Joseph Parker, they're the defeats, right? 2 to Joseph Parker, Fury world title fight, and Usyk's first real test at heavyweight. So he's lost all those 3, 4, in fact, because it was 2 against Parker. He was supposed to lose them. And the fights he's won, he's kind of supposed to win those. Otto Wallin was supposed to win. Kubrat Pulev was supposed to win. Gerald Washington was supposed to win. Jarrell Miller would have been such a good indication as to where he is. I guess not that it matters, because there's only 1 fight left, because he would have gone into that Jarrell Miller fight as a marginal underdog, and then we would know the level, because I think we kind of know where Jarrell Miller is, especially after the Andy Ruiz performance. So, yeah, it's difficult to know where Chisora is as a fighter, but look, what we do know is that he gives it his all. Nothing seems to derail him or deter him. The cut was a bit of a nasty one. Most fighters, it kind of will get to them, that cut. Chisora, no. Chisora's on the front foot immediately, not trying to box on the back foot, no jabs. He's on the front foot, he's in your face. He's making the cut worse because he's on the chest of Otto Wallin. Honestly, he's a bit of a nightmare. He is. I like the game after, where he's like holding up pictures of fighters, and I think, who did he get? Lethal B was there, Skepta Was Tiny Temper the other one? And they're holding up these cards. I'm not quite sure who for fight 50. Look, if I'm honest with you, I would prefer there not to be a fight 50 because of the damage that he will take in that fight 50, because obviously it's going to be a better opponent than Otto Wallin, obviously. But he's going to have the 50th fight. He's going to get paid well. And hopefully that's that. There is something very... I don't know. Every time I think about Chisora just retiring, I think, will he? Really? I'm not sure. But look, I've said it should be Dillian Whyte. Although Dillian Whyte obviously clearly wants to fight. Dillian Whyte's got Joe Joyce. We'll talk about it in a second. Dillian Whyte, I think, makes sense. Ngannou makes more sense because Chisora has spoken about fighting in Africa. That's why I keep talking Ngannou, because obviously Ngannou's going to have that fan base and it could be a really big fight in Africa, co-main or main. Wilder's an option as well. I do think that's now realistic, whereas a couple of years ago we all would have laughed and said absolutely not. Now, with where Wilder is, that's a fight that kind of makes sense, I guess. Jarrell Miller, who was supposed to be the opponent yesterday, kind of makes sense as well. So those are the four for me. Dillian Whyte, Deontay Wilder, Jarrell Miller, who will sell the fight with Chisora fantastically, and Francis Ngannou. Not bad options. Not bad options for fight number 50. All right. I do briefly want to talk about a couple of the undercard fights. I started watching it from the Rafferty fight. So I didn't watch any of the others. Apologies. So I started watching it from Jack Rafferty versus Reece McMillan. It's my first time really watching Jack Rafferty. I have to be honest with you. I was impressed. I thought he looked good. I thought his hand speed was good. I thought he had relatively good punch power. Combinations looked good. I thought he was a good fighter. And I tweeted, I said, there's now a third person in this domestic 100. I'm removing Josh Taylor and Jack Catchell from it because they are 100% world level fighters. But, you know, the Adam Azim Dalton Smith thing has been Adam Dalton. I think on that performance, you can chuck Jack in. Yes, maybe he's the bottom of that three, but I mean, we saw when Dalton fought for European title, what European level was. I mean, Jack would have smashed that guy as well, that Waleed Weezer, whatever his name was. I think Jack's there or thereabout. I got a couple of responses saying, no, he's not at their level. And I was like, okay, well, 1 second. What is their level? Like, what are we saying Adam Azim is? Are we saying him and Dalton are world level fighters without both having fought a world level fighter? I mean, unless you're going to say Lipinets is and O'Hara Davis is. I think Dalton and Adam are European level. Let's not jump the gun. And I think Jack Rafferty is. Honestly, I think Jack Rafferty is as well. So, look, Commonwealth champion, British champion, European level for me. I was very, very impressed with Sofian Kati. Very impressed. I don't like when someone who maybe has come into the fight as a bit of an underdog wins, and then we start looking at who was supposedly the favourite in Nathan Heaney. I like giving the underdog all the plaudits, and I thought Kati looked really, really good. And I could tell from the very first fucking round, I'm sorry, I know Nathan Heaney might have won that, but I could tell how relaxed and how confident this guy was, how fast his hands were, his feet, and it's almost like he was just biding his time. Nathan Heaney was thinking and was quite stiff and working and look, doing good stuff. But that Kati looks so easy. Honestly, I tweeted like, if this guy's had 5 defeats and his record says he has, I want to see the 5 guys that beat him, because I think he looked pretty decent. He's very busy, and this is something that mid-tier fighters need to take away from his performance. He had 5 fights last year. He had 5 fights. I mean, nowadays, mid-tier fighters, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, having 2, maybe, max 3, max, but it's very rare. 5, stay busy. And it's not just, I mean, look at Daniel Dubois. He's been very busy. Look at him now, best form of his life. Joseph Parker, 18 months has been busy, obviously apart from this little hiatus now. But this Sofian Kati, I think's a bit of an issue. And I actually think I'd love to see him at 154. I think he's kind of undersized to 160. But look, if he can, you know, if he's comfortable making this 160, then we'll stay at 160. But I think at 154 could be a bit of a problem. Really liked him, really impressed him. French boxing right now, man. I mean, obviously we had the biggest upset of all upsets, Bruno Soras beating Munguia. Obviously, I was in Monaco for that Mascara. Leonardo Mascara beating Chev Clark. Mate, French boxing's on a bit of a high right now. All right, let's see what else there is to talk about. Obviously, the big talking point has been Canelo. This Canelo Jake Paul thing. Okay, now Jake Paul is going in on Canelo. He's not holding back, is he? Not holding back at all. The thing is, and this is the only thing I will agree with Jake Paul on. I think Canelo made a video saying fucking YouTubers, like, I'm not fighting a fucking, you were gonna fight a YouTuber. So I don't agree with Canelo saying fucking YouTuber. Yet we saw a signed, I don't think it was a contract, but we saw something signed with Canelo's name, Jake Paul's name, Nikisa's name. It was this close. As they say, they were on the final hole, whatever, I don't know what analogy to use, but they were that close to fighting, and all of a sudden now you say fucking YouTuber. Kind of doesn't make sense. You're contradicting yourself, Canelo. But Canelo obviously isn't fighting him. Canelo's fighting Skull, isn't he? The belt that he gave away is now gonna get back, become undisputed easily, and then fight Crawford, and it'll be an undisputed fight. It's clear now that Crawford isn't going to have a fight, or it looks like he won't, which I think is a mistake. I think Crawford needs a fight in between. I don't like the idea of Crawford sitting this one out completely until September, but kind of is what it is. All right, what else is there to talk about? Yeah, okay, Canelo Alvarez, William Skull, May 3rd in Riyadh. That is going to be the time of that's going to be very interesting because a lot of these Riyadh events have been very, very, very late, and I'm talking very late. Some of them have finished at 3 a.m, but that's to satisfy the European market, predominantly the English market. There's never been real big Americans on the show where you now have to then do it for the American market. With Canelo, I'm guessing they're going to have to start these events in the morning to kind of satisfy the American market. I can't quite work out the times, but I'm guessing it's going to have to be in the morning, which is going to be interesting. But yeah, Canelo in Riyadh, who would have thought? I wouldn't have thought. Who would have thought? So yeah, but the only person now they don't seem to have a hold on is Gervonta Davis, but it seems like it will happen unless Gervonta does retire like he said he was going to. John Cooney tragically passes away at the age of 28. Sadder, very, very sad. 28. What did he have, a fight last week? Yeah, very sad. Condolences and prayers to his friends and family and his nearest and dearest. Eddie Hearn, open for business. We'll end with this one with Top Rank, Golden Boy on DAZN. Yeah, there's the rumours becoming louder and louder that Top Rank, whose deal with ESPN runs out, I believe, in August, will sign with DAZN exclusively. I think there was a lot of talk from Todd DeBoeuf. Was it Todd who I spoke to? I think, yeah, it was Todd DeBoeuf who I spoke to, and he was like, there is a chance that they can work with several broadcasters. So do some stuff with Amazon, do some stuff with DAZN and others. It looks like now they're going to just fully go the DAZN route. So DAZN basically kind of run boxing now. I mean, for them to have, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with PBC and this Amazon deal, but for them to have Golden Boy, Top Rank and Matchroom in the US and Matchroom and Queensbury in the UK, I mean, it only seems a matter of time until boxers sign up, until maybe the Sowlands and their little Channel 5 deal sign up. It seems like they're going to own boxing, which I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. You don't want a monopoly on the sport. I like the idea of competition. You don't want a monopoly. Final one, actually, we'll end on this. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano in deep negotiations, says Eddie Hearn. This thing, yeah, so Eddie Hearn, for the longest amount of time, has tried to get Katie Taylor a fight in Croke Park with the support, I think, of the government. You need the government help in this one. And he's not been able to get it over the line. And when you think of what Katie Taylor and how she's put boxing and Irish boxing on the map, I mean, she's a superstar, fantastic. And for some reason, they've had no support from the government. The government have put, I think, $10 million into the NFL coming to Croke Park. I believe it's Croke Park. Could be wrong, but I don't think I am. $10 million. That's what they've put down to get NFL over. I'm sorry. I think that's a bit of a fucking disgrace, but it's just my theory on it. All right. Okay. Oh, that's a shame. Bradley Ray will no longer be fighting in Riyadh February 22nd after Constantino Nanga suffers injury. Yeah, they're not going to even try and find a replacement because the card's far too big anyway. It's a shame. What a shame. All right, guys, girls, peace and love.